Okay, so here's a couple tips I can give for Super Fastball Deluxe, and specifically how I do it. Some other people might do it a bit differently, or use some different visual cues or audio cues. Well, not really audio cues, but some other people might use different visual cues, but this is specifically how I do it. For the first jump, I look at the crane, and you see how it has two arms? I look at specifically when the arm in the back disappears behind the arm in the front, and I jump before that happens. Not like just before, but like a little bit before that happens. And then for this jump, it happens so fast. But for this, let me just go for the first jump first, because the first jump, this is specific timing for just regular any percent. For NCS, the timing's a bit different. If you're running NCS, I look for when the white part of this platform here appears. That's when I double jump. So actually, let me just load the NCS save here, just so I can demonstrate. If you're running no cutscenes, if I were to use this line, like this cue, it would be too late of a jump. If you jump too late, you'll end up landing on top of the little rail stuff. And if you jump too early, you'll end up overshooting the platform you're trying to land on. So here's the timing for the NCS save. I look at the big building, and then once the white appears, that's when I double jump. And that should always get me there. But I'm gonna do standard, because I'm assuming that's most people are gonna be running anyway. But yeah, for standard, I like to look at the crane, and a little bit before the back arm disappears behind the front arm. Then I land here, and this jump is probably the trickiest. I look at the floor of this building, and just before the floor disappears, like just before I pass over it, that was actually too early of a jump. Great example in slow motion. If you just pass over the box, that's too early of a double jump. Right? So let me do it again with the proper timing. It's probably a bit easier for me to do it in full speed. But yeah, if you jump there too early, you'll overshoot the box, and if you jump too early, you'll either hit the box completely and it'll lose all your speed, like that, just like that. That's an example. It'll just shoot you up. So that was too late of a double jump there. So now that we have both of the mistakes out of the way, let's try to get the timing actually properly. Before the crane arm disappears. And then just before the floor disappears. Yeah, and then you'll land right on top of the box. For that jump, I messed it up a little bit there, but for that jump, I don't have a specific double jump timing, but I just try to go for as much distance as possible. I try to set up my strafes and my double jump timing so that I get as much distance as possible. So I'm landing on the pipe. I think other people don't land on the pipe to the right, but it's a bit of a tighter line, which is why I do it, and it's also because it's what Bladen does. And then for this jump, the needle thread, it's also a bit tight, but I also don't have a super specific double jump timing for that. I just visually very specifically look at this thing and where I want to land, and that usually helps me to kind of feel out the double jump timing. I just really focus in on that needle thread and try to time the double jump for that. But once you've gone past the needle thread, you've pretty much cleared like 90% of the difficult stuff for Super Fastball Deluxe. Pretty much everything after the needle thread. I was a bit early. See, I think that was actually like right on the edge of being too early versus being, being just right, because I only got one graph star there. I think that's a symptom of it being too early. Maybe it's also me being a bit too far to the left. But I think it's more a symptom of being too early on the double jump. Definitely the jump leading up to the box, getting the graph stars, is the most difficult one to get right. Right, just focus in on the needle thread. I do a light tap strafe there just to get the line a bit properly. I do a crouch kick here, which you don't really need to do. But really from here, it's pretty much smooth sailing. You can throw the graph star whenever you really want. Throwing it earlier obviously is faster, Throwing it later is going to be safer, but a little bit slower. And I think that's about it. I think I also went over all of the things that can go wrong. Specifically, if you want to go for like backups, I don't really have any specific backup routes. But like if you get shot up, you'll likely land somewhere here, and if you have some speed, you can probably just keep it going somehow, and find a way to make it to this wall here. And Skelly also has a super sick backup. If you have a ton of speed, you can set it up so that you wall kick off of this, and then also wall kick off of this wall, and that gets you all the way across to that wall without hitting the death trigger. But that's really only viable if you have a ton of speed, and I don't think I could replicate it like right now. But if you find you have a ton of speed while having messed up somewhere at the beginning, that is a backup you can go for, because it is pretty sick and pretty fast. But yeah, I'm just going to go over it one more time in full speed, so you have another example. Go for distance. Really focusing on the needle thread, light tap strafe, optional crouch kick. That was a very wide line because I was going pretty fast. And ideally, you know, you don't want to goof up the craft star at the end. But yeah, that should be everything I can cover for Super Fastball. I hope that helped.